you've been playing this piece?
I don't really remember either.
Yeah, it's okay. Let's see. So you play so well that there's not a whole lot to say about how you're playing this. I want to ask you, can you give me an example of something in your life or in your experience? It doesn't have to be violin related, that you think is beautiful. Like if I just asked you to say, to like give me an example of something that's beautiful, what comes to mind?
Usually I think of music.
So music is beautiful. Okay. So people use that word to mean a lot of different things, right? Like you can describe a person as beautiful. Like my mom is beautiful. You should say that every now and then. People say music can be beautiful. Art, sometimes people say art is beautiful. Sometimes a really good dish could be beautiful, like something you eat. That was a beautiful dinner. Okay, so it's a positive thing, right? It's definitely like a good thing, but it's a hard thing to define, like what beauty is. But even though it's hard to put into words, almost everybody knows it when they see, hear, touch, or taste it. So here's what I would like you to add to what you're doing with the violin right now, because you play very well. Like you have a really good sense of rhythm, and you're also getting around the fingerboard really well. I would like you, because okay, so you know when we learn a new piece of music, the challenge is to learn all the notes and all the rhythms and all the bowings and fingering, right? To get those things right. That's not so much of a challenge for you. Like you're doing really well with those things. What I want you to be concerned with more than any of those things is that every sound you make be the most beautiful sound possible for that note on your violin. Not just that it's in tune and the right bowing and the right rhythm and the right finger, but that all of those things, the reason those things are important is because they make it possible, they help you to play with a beautiful sound. So what is a beautiful sound? You know that you should play with a straight bow, and you know that the bow should not be too close to the fingerboard or too close to the bridge, should not be too fast, too slow, should not be too heavy or too light, right? All of those things you've heard before, and you practice them. All of those things, we are taught them and we practice them because they help us achieve a beautiful sound. So when we are listening to make a beautiful sound, then it helps if the bow is in the right place, right? If the bow is, or right, there's a lot of ways to make not beautiful sound on the violin. It's amazingly easy, actually. But if you are thinking, how can that be the most beautiful possible? Like, is that better, or is that better, or, right? To be really, really microscopically focused on every moment of sound. And if that is not the best sound you think you can get out of your violin with your hands, then go back and figure out, what do I need to do differently? Did I run out of bow? Was I trying to use too much bow? Is the bow in the wrong place? Is my left hand not quite right? So if you are pursuing sound, then all of those other things that go into your technique will come together and make sense and help you do that. So in other words, I want your ears to search for beautiful sound and for that to be the thing that leads everything else you do when you practice. So let's talk about a couple of examples. Can we play once? We play from here, just these 4 bars. Good, okay. So was that the most beautiful sound you can get for those notes? No. So don't tell us what you want to do differently, but tell yourself what you will do differently. After you imagine, take a second and imagine the sound you want to make, right? You have been playing this violin for a while, I don't know how long, but you have played this violin long enough to have like a little mental library of the sounds that it can make. So pull out a very specific sound, right? A very specific sound for this C sharp, right? It can be, or, right? Those were 3 different sounds. They're pretty similar, but they were not the same. So pick out one specific sound that you want to hear, and let's try this again. Great. The beginning sound was great, and then you ran out of bow. Okay, so let's fix that. You can fix it one of 2 ways. You started the bow here, made a beautiful sound, and then ran out of breath. So you can either move the bow slower, and make a different sound, right? You made this sound, which is a beautiful sound, but now you're out of bow. So either change your sound, or change where you started the bow. Okay, the other thing, so think about that for a second. I also want you to stand up straight. Can you stand up? Okay, so you're kind of standing like this right now. Can you? Yeah, so shoulders back, and can you look up a little bit? Yeah, there we go. Okay. So when this is going like this, the violin goes, and the bow, everything kind of collapses in, and then it's hard to move. So if this is supported, then you can move more easily. Movement is how we make sound. Okay, so standing up straight and change how you use the bow, so that not just the first note is beautiful, but the whole first bow. Good. So you remember to stand up straight, and then you remember to bring the bow to the frog, and as you brought the bow to the frog, you did this to help the bow get to the frog. So keep it here, and then the bow just moves here. So, you ride a bike, right? You know how to ride a bike. So, if you try and ride a bike too slowly, it gets harder. So, if you try and move the bow too slowly, it gets harder to find a sound. If you try and ride the bike or move the bow too fast, it's also harder. So there's like a, kind of like a perfect middle speed where you're going to find that sound. Let's do it again. Good. So now I'm asking you to think so much about everything, it's getting a little slower. So remember your tempo, especially kind of think about your 16th notes. It'll be easier if it's not too slow. Try it again. Good. Okay. So don't be scared. I'm going to give you a hug. Okay. So move your violin out of the way. So that felt like this kind of hug. Not like very fun. So can you make it more like this kind of hug? It's like weirdo. No. What I mean is, after you start, your bow is a little bit light. So if you can, especially in the upper half, try to. I know it says piano, but piano doesn't mean soft. It still means beautiful. Yes. Good. Okay, so mostly we've been talking about speed. We talked a little bit about contact, but one of the things that happens, especially when you're trying to play fast, is your bow tends to slide to the fingertip. Okay, so all of these things are important. I'm going to talk about one other place. So this was just about sound, right? We were just looking for sound. But we also can think about how we are shaping the sound for the music. So this place, in this place, which you play really well, that 10th is really in tune every single time. It's fantastic. But you play it kind of like this. Like the end of this is really soft, and then you go bonk. So can you make this crescendo so that this is the biggest part of that, and control this so that's not so huge. You want to start right on it? Good. Okay. So there's a couple of reasons why this tends to come out really loud. One of them, if you think about where your bow is coming from. So it's moving towards the frog on an up bow. And now I'm going all the way across from E string to G string. So the bow has a lot of momentum. And it goes wow. So if you can control this, the motion there, by using your arm and not doing this. Does that make sense? If I do this, then my pinky is the only thing that balances the motion of the bow. But if I do this, my whole arm makes it possible not to crash. So that's one thing. The other thing is, don't use too much bow. Okay? So can you do one time just this? And when when you change strings, move your arm with the bow. Yes, that was easy. So from here, move the arm. Yes, but not, you don't have to go too big. Yeah, so like right now you're playing that down bow so that it ends about here, like going all the way to here. Can you end it kind of there so that it's just, so this F sharp starts here instead of here, so it's not, but, yeah, because now this and this are more equal, which they are in the music. It's all part of a B major chord. So we kind of jumped to a couple of different ideas about sound. But the most important thing, the one I want you to remember from this, is to try, anytime you pick up the violin, if you're playing scales, if you're playing exercises, if you're playing a piece, whatever it is, that the most important thing to you always is to find a beautiful sound. Find a sound that you want to hear more of. Okay? All right, thank you. I didn't look at the schedule for tomorrow. Am I seeing any of you guys tomorrow? Marcus, okay. Great.